Good afternoon, everybody. This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. And today I have somebody very special with me. I just learned about Alyssa Jacey recently. I went online and, yeah, I was trolling you. I have to admit, Alyssa. But, um, that's sometimes a good thing, especially when we're finding something that is meaningful to us. And when I went to your webpage, your Facebook page today, and saw that you had a message that I so want you to pursue today. And that is that it's never too late to do what you want to do. And I read somewhere that you were in your 20s when you decided that music was your thing.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It wasn't even my decision. It was some outward force that put me in this industry. I have been a dancer my entire life. I started dancing at 4 years old, ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, Lindy hop, salsa, like everything you can think of. I danced in the Super Bowl. And around that time when I was in the Super Bowl, I moved from my hometown, San Diego, to Los Angeles to teach dance. And coworkers heard me singing to myself and thought that I should try karaoke. I was almost 24 at the time. I had never sung before. I didn't play an instrument. I didn't write lyrics. I wrote poetry, but I had never put words to song. I never in a million years ever saw myself as a musician or a singer. So I started singing karaoke just to appease my friends. And for an entire year, because I got addicted, I did it every week. I got the same response at no matter what venue I was at, no matter what tables were there seeing me. It was always virtually verbatim the same comments afterward, which was, when can we see your next show? Where can we buy a CD? So it was after doing that for a year where I felt like the universe or somebody was really screaming at me, if you don't pursue this, you are not going to be happy. You're not going to fulfill your live stream. And not that I've come to learn that music is actually not my purpose. My purpose is to inspire people. So to circle back to what you started with, my purpose is to share with everyone out there that it does not matter how old you are. It does not matter how much experience you have in something. You can start at nothing at any given moment. And if it's your passion, you can make it all your own.
And it's interesting. A lot of us w- might be asked, "What is your passion?" And when somebody will ask you that question, typically it's, I have no idea. But most of us do have an idea, and we walk around with it deep inside. Um, and sometimes we're afraid to talk about it because we don't want people to laugh at us or use that expression, "You're too old."
Right.
Um,
Or it's too
so
difficult of an industry to get into. I was told that all the time in the beginning. Don't do it. It's so hard. You'll never make it.
well, and the question is, what is making it? Okay. I have my youngest son loves sports, loves baseball, and he's working for the Cleveland Indians. And yes, he has wild dreams of what he would like to do there. Okay. And I keep telling him, keep dreaming, but you're there. And now it's, you can take those steps. Are you going to get to that position up here that you're talking about? You may not. But the fact of the matter is, he is so excited to go to work every single day that, you know, even during the pandemic, it's like, you know what? I know I'm off right now, but I'm going to be going back. And that's how he got through it. So we do have those passionate feelings, and sometimes we have to just let them out a little bit so that we can move forward. So when you were 24, okay, I'm not going to ask how old you are right now, but when you were
I
20,
have to tell you,
okay,
I like telling people. I just turned 39 on December 28th.
never would have believed it. Never would have believed it.
Thank you. Thanks, mom and dad.
So when you sort of made this decision in your mid 20s, what did your family think?
It's so funny. Oh my gosh, this is the month. It's so funny that we're talking about this because after this podcast this evening, I am interviewing on a podcast with my original producer from 2000 January 2005 is when I made the decision to start recording and writing songs out of nowhere. And we haven't really connected in a long time, and he's been doing a podcast as well. So it's so funny. It was January 15 years ago. That's so crazy.
Wow.
Um, my poor daddy. So I bounced around a lot from I'm playing this sport, I'm playing that sport, I'm gonna work at this place, I'm gonna work at that place. And I went to three different colleges before I finally graduated. I've always been the bouncer arounder. And so I stopped going to school temporarily to move to LA to teach dance. He was worried that I wasn't going to go back to school. And when I told him I was moving back home from LA to go back to school, but also as a musician, little weary. It took like two shows for him to see my dedication, um, and it was instantaneous. And he and my mother have been absolutely diehard, super supportive. My mom is always the rah rah cheerleader of both her children. So right off the bat, she was like, "Go, honey, go!" Um, and my brother too. The three of us are very close. He's been very supportive as well from the beginning. So I've had that support, and I don't want to say I can relate to people who don't have it. I just have been around a lot of people who don't have that family
Sure.
support. But you can get it elsewhere through people such as yourself, Karen, through our friends, through the fans that we meet.
Absolutely. And it's funny you should say this because when I started college back in the late 60s, I wanted to go into broadcasting. That was my dream. And my
Yeah.
parents thought I was insane because there weren't many women in broadcasting.
Uh,
And my parents said, "We'll send you to college. That's okay. But you're going to become a teacher." And I stood there and I said, "Sure." And I shook my head. And when I went and signed up for my classes, little did they know that instead of signing into a 4-year program, I was signing into a 2-year program and I was going for a broadcasting degree. And, I was like, they don't have to know the difference,
oh my gosh, that's so
So, at
sweet.
the end of 2 years, when I had this associate's degree, my parents pulled me out of college. They said, "Uh-uh, you've wasted your time. You don't know how to type," and people today are wondering what that actually means by typing. But, they were so worried about me. But 20, 30 years later, when I decided to go back to school, complete my degree, and get my master's, my father was no longer living, but my mother said to me one day, "I knew you were smart enough to do this. Why didn't you do this when you were younger?" And all I could do was look at her, but I realized it was the times. Okay. So I understand both sides having that support
Mhm.
and not having it. And so it took me a little bit longer, but didn't make a difference because I'm doing what I love to do.
Exactly. You felt it in your heart and you went like, I'm always I can't talk about following your passion really without physically going like this and I refer to them as blinders.
Yeah.
You had that direction and you didn't let anybody deter you from where you were going.
So I read something today that in the beginning you wrote like almost 500 songs in about a year.
Oh, no, 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 no,
No?
no. No, no. In total, I'm a little over 400.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
400 songs. About to release my ninth album in 15 years. However, I did play my first show on guitar 3 weeks after I started teaching myself. I played 100 shows my first year. Got on the radio my first year. There's a lot of cool things that happened initially.
So was it because of where you were that you had some of these opportunities that maybe somebody in um, Kansas might not have?
I want to say no only because of the kind of person I am.
Okay.
I feel like if I really want to make something happen, I'm going to find a way to do it. Now, that's not to say that it didn't help being in Southern California, being in San Diego. That's a large city. It's close to Los Angeles. So it probably didn't hurt, but I would have found a way to do it anyway. Are your nails blue?
Yes, they are.
Oh my gosh! That was awesome. I'm, listeners, we'll get into the blue thing, I'm sure, at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah. So I was listening to a song today on YouTube. Um, and wow, I sort of misplaced it here about love.
Okay.
So, um, it almost sounded country. And it was one that Beatrice told me to go listen to, and
Oh,
I've been working, like, nonstop today, so, like, all I can remember is the love word, but something about being in love.
is it Love Is All You Need?
Yes, love is all you need.
Okay.
So when I first saw the link, I thought, "Oh, it's a Beatles song," but obviously it's not. It so this is something that you wrote.
Yes.
So
It's
tell me about it.
it's not about being in love. It is about um, just getting the most out of life and not looking back and savoring every moment. And it's a you can do it kind of a song, but not in a. I don't feel like it's in a cheesy way. It's um, just take a breath and open your eyes and just soak in the moment that you're in. And love is all you need, and that could be in a relationship. It can be as a friend. It can be through this wonderful thing we call the music industry
Right.
and our passions. So that's what it's about.
So when I was listening to it, and that's what I was getting out of it too, and
I'm sure.
I was
Sure.
trying to get something else out of it, and that's what I want to tell people is something that I've learned since I've been interviewing musicians. Don't listen to something assuming that you know what it's about. And your definition of what it's about might be different than the way it was written. But I had a hard time in the beginning because, again, I was thinking the Beatles. I was thinking about falling in love. And it was like, no, this is just about life and enjoying it. And that's something that a lot of us haven't done for the last year.
my There's a part that I really would love people to focus on. I mean, it's the whole message. I made sure that every lyric was in some form or fashion a motivational, uplifting part. But there's a breakdown where I call it a rap. Probably rappers would
Yep.
call it
Yep.
just speaking, and that's fine. It probably is, but I love singing that part. I love rapping that part. So check out "Love Is All You Need" and listen to the rap.
Absolutely, and we're gonna put the link in the information of today's podcast so people won't have to go looking for it,
Great.
um, because that was the other thing that, I heard in it. It was like, "She's rapping, she's singing," and, you know, you have many, many talents, obviously, and why not put them all together? So you brought up the color blue. Tell me what it means to you.
Oh my gosh, the second we turned on the camera, the first thing I noticed, other than your smile, was the blue covering the microphone.
Right.
And I like to call purple blue's nemesis. So I wasn't sure if your nails were purple or blue. So I was like, I'm just going to hold back on that comment until I can figure out whether or not her nails are blue. um, when I first started singing, and again, I was about 24, by that time, I had spent 8 years being very obsessed with the color blue. I wore it all the time. My cars were blue. I am visually attracted to it. So when I started playing music, I somehow knew branding was important. I've never had a manager. I've never, until the last couple months, had a PR agency. I never had a booking agent. So I didn't have anybody telling me what to do, but something was telling me, you got to brand yourself. Well, you're already really into blue. People already know you as the girl who likes blue. And I can't even tell you, Karen, where it came from, but all of a sudden it was like a lightning bolt of information. Bring the crew and wear your blue. Call your fans the blue crew. So I do the hashtag all the time, bring the crew, wear your blue. My fans are called the blue crew. And when my grandma passed away from Alzheimer's, 1 month after I started singing, so this is February of 2005, I vowed in that moment that if I were ever to be able to give back to a charity, that would certainly be the main one that I would give back to. And I would do it through utilizing this color blue. So I donate $1 from ticket sales or a portion of my album sales to the Alzheimer's Association just for fans showing up in any shade of blue that they want.
I love that. That is wonderful. And it's a horrible disease. We know that. No one should have to go through it, and for families to have to watch their loved ones. Um, it's it's more than difficult. For those of you who are listening today, if you want to appreciate Alyssa a little bit more, you can reach out to the Alzheimer's Association, make a donation. And this was not pre planned, but I think it's extremely, extremely important. Um, so thank you for that.
It's not enough, but I plan on doing more as I can. But thank you.
So I understand you're a TV personality as well.
Yeah.
So what do you do on TV?
Again, something I fell into after moving to Nashville. Everything opened for me from singing. So when I moved to Nashville, and my first job for the first two and a half, my very first job was teaching dance. But after that, I started hosting what we call writers' nights, 4 nights a week at a couple different venues. And someone saw me performing at one of my writers' nights who said, "You should go be a performer on this TV show called Balcony TV." Contacted the producer, got on as a performer. He said, "You're hilarious. You should be the co-host. Why don't you audition to be the co-host?" I'm like, "Okay." So there's already a host and they're looking for a female co-host. And it was like I had been born to do that. It felt so natural. So I interview live, just like you're doing with me.
Sure.
That's what I would be doing just on TV.
I love it.
And then
I
up
love
to
it.
the second show and a third show and a fourth show. And now I'm in the middle of a fifth show that we are manifesting the heck out of, and we're hoping it's going to get picked up nationally.
I see all the crosses. So
Everything, my eyes, I just, my legs, my nose, my hair.
so living in Nashville, you all experienced some terrible things happening not too long ago. How's the city healing?
There is such a camaraderie here. I, I have this like fluff, like warmness just thinking about it. If there's a video on YouTube where you can see me talking about, someone asked me in this interview, uh, how is it living in Nashville versus San Diego? And part of what I reference is I call this an open arms town. And when things happen here in this city, it is unlike anything I've ever been a part of. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. People come together, speaking of the Beatles, in a way where it's like, we will get through this as a team. And it's so uplifting, and it's so beautiful and refreshing, and reminding you that humanity still can exist if we wanted to.
Well, it seems like humanity is um, growing, and and we're becoming a kinder, more gentler nation. I know there's still a lot of crazy things happening around us, but I think the majority of us are looking for that community again. And I think the problem has been I grew up in the 50s and 60s. And when I was growing up, our neighbors were right next door to us. And so even if you didn't like your neighbor, you didn't really, you didn't start an argument. Okay. You nodded, you said hello, you maybe picked up their paper, whatever, and helped them out. But maybe you didn't go over the top, but you knew your neighbors, like them or not.
Mhm.
And today we are so spread out and we don't even know our neighbors and we're making assumptions about them. But I think the pandemic has brought us together. And I personally, I have a neighbor next door to me. We live in a condo, so we're pretty close. But for the first 12 years that we lived here, she barely nodded at us or said hello. But the pandemic changed her.
Wow.
She started saying hello. We now have conversations. And it's unbelievable. So there was something that was holding her back, and now she's more open. And I think most of us are trying to get that way, but it's difficult when you haven't lived that way most of your life.
That really makes me happy to hear that.
Yes. It's for the first time ever, I say to my husband, if anything were to happen to either one of us, I at least know I can go knock on her door now, and ask for assistance. But in the past, I didn't feel that way. And
Interesting.
yeah,
I
but
might
it's bringing us out.
I might be curious to, if I were you, I would almost want to get to know her a little more, like ask her what was holding her back and what changed her mind, just to dive into that psyche
Yeah.
a bit more to understand why people do that.
Yep. Well, that's a possibility. I think now you've given me the edge. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go knock on her door the next day or 2.
Yeah, bring her some cookies or a flower or something. Like, what?
Absolutely. So there's something else I'm noticing as you and I are talking. Um, I have a niece who is about 5, 6 years older than you. But if I didn't know the difference right now, I would think that you are my niece Rachel. You smile like her, you talk like her, you have her energy. It is uncanny.
Hi, Rachel. Hi, self.
um, what I want to encourage people is something that I've been so blessed with this podcast is I get to know you. I get to see who you are, not just listen to you on YouTube, okay? Um, I'm probably not going to get to Nashville anytime soon, so I'm probably not going to see you in person, but there are ways to get to know people. And this is a great opportunity for us to share, get to know, um, and be part of each other's lives. So I understand you have something else new coming out.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about it?
Yes, I do. And I have something else new that my PR agency doesn't even know about. So
Okay.
this would be the announcement. Um, I have never released a professional live album before. And back in September, I was visiting my dad in Idaho. He splits his time between San Diego and Haley, Idaho. And I've been performing there for 14 years. And I played at this theater performing arts center for the first time and sold out, which was awesome. And they had a just a beautiful soundboard. And I was like, can you guys record this show? And they did. And so I brought the mixes back, or the tracks back, to my producer in Nashville. We mixed it, mastered it, got one of my really good friends hired to paint the album cover in the back
Wow.
and a specific thing for the CD. So I am releasing a full length, and by full length, 32 track
Wow.
on March 26th.
How terrific. You must be like on top of the world right now.
I feel just there's so many things to be thankful for, even in a really dark time. Uh, Last year was hands down the hardest, worst year of my life. I'm going through a divorce, first and only marriage. I had some health issues. My family had some health issues. My dad lost his wife to cancer. The pandemic. I mean, the tornado, the bomb. I mean, everything happened, and a handful of other things that I'm not going to get into. But even though I would go through these moments of hitting what I feel would be emotional rock bottom, I still picked myself up and kept going forward, because we need that during these dark times. And we need to, like, my purpose is to inspire, right? If I
Right?
didn't keep doing these things, then I wouldn't be doing my job. So I want to encourage people, like, it's okay to be down and be in that space, but don't let that moment become your life or who you are.
And that is so important. I write a blog every morning, and recently I've been writing about depression because depression is something we've all experienced, whether we are open about it or not. And I know it's not always easy when you're feeling down, okay? Whether it's a loss of a family member, an illness, like you said, divorce, um, problems with your kids, whatever it is. When you get down, you're the only one that can pick yourself up. And if you wait for somebody else to do it, it's going to be artificial. And I've been there. I did it for a long time. I kept waiting for somebody else to make me happy. And it was like, I'm doing what they want to do. That
Mhm.
doesn't make me happy. And when I realized that, and I said, okay, I can cry, then I can wipe my tears,
Yes.
and I can move on. And you know what? It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worthwhile.
Ah, couldn't agree more.
So I'm so excited to get to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Um,
Mary. Thanks
and
for
if
having
you
me.
get to Cleveland, Ohio, you'll have to come see us.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you get up to Saratoga Springs, New York, you'll have to meet my niece, Rachel,
I
and
love
take your picture next to each other, and I'll say which is which.
I'll be the one in blue.
Yeah, she wears a lot of black. Yeah. You'll look like one big bruise together. No, uh, it'll be fine. Well, we look forward to your release in March. Any other news you wanna share?
Yes. Oh, yeah. A couple other things. Thank you. The I have a fan favorite song that I wrote and released in 2014, and it's also my personal favorite song that I've ever written. It's called "Drowning Me," and I would love for you to listen to the version that's out now because
Okay.
I have decided to, from the ground up, completely rework it and turn it into like not a completely different song because you don't want to mess with already what's working, but I'm excited to take this bluesy 6/8 acoustic guitar song and we're turning it into like a dark pop, something you might hear, in a movie, with synthesizers and violins and all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm going to be dropping that single soon. And my dream is to get all my songs on TV and film. And within the last couple months, I've signed 3 contracts for sync licensing.
I love it. Well, I'm gonna send you, another contact out on the West Coast, um, who I think you would be perfect for. Um, that's the fun part of this job, and I want people to understand that when I can connect each other with somebody, um, it may not work out business-wise, but let me tell you, there are true friendships that build out of these things. And as we talked about in the beginning, it's all about networking, getting to know people. Um, and there's going to be some people who are going to possibly listen to your music and say, that's not really my take, and that's okay. But think of somebody else who may like it
Yeah. Yeah.
and pass it on. So that was the first thing, drowning me. What else do you have up your sleeve?
Yeah, I mean, um, so it's just, well, I mean, the sync licensing thing was the other thing that I was just really excited about for everyone. But the cool thing, the reason why sync licensing is I think the right direction for me is because I have, with all the songs that are out and that I've released, they're all kind of different genres. So I even have one jazz song out. So if you don't like pop or country or blues or reggae, you might like this one jazz song. I've got couple Christmas singles. So there's kind of like a nice variety, upbeat, slow, acoustic, full band, and soon to be more rap. So
I love it.
yeah,
Well, continue growing your craft, keeping your passion going. And again, for those listening, if you have a dollar or two, send it to the Alzheimer's Association. Um, it's a terrible disease, and we need a cure. We really, really do. So,
the most important thing is just showing up and being next to them and letting them see that you care. Because even though on their face they might not show that expression, they do know it. I can tell you from experience, I have that connection with my grandma so strong. I was there until right before she passed away, the night that she passed. And I know, they know. So just be there.
be there.
Don't think that they don't see you or don't feel you.
A great message to end with. We will talk to you again soon, and I'm going to send you some information. Okay.
Karen, very much for having me today.
Have a great day. Take care now. Bye bye.